Terry with Computer Pro. We are going to do a little mini review on the Softing LinkXpert M3. This was loaned out to us for the purposes of testing and review from Tom over at Lawrence Systems. Be sure to visit his channel on YouTube. So these are some of the devices that we use. So our big one, we have an Etherscope. The big difference is this tests wireless as well as wired. The Link Runner AT, which is kind of our most used tool. Then back in the day, we had simple cable testers like the microtest scanner. Then of course there's tone and probe kits, and not to be confused with a certifier, but a qualifier from Platinum Tools. The Softing, now I never heard of this company. He told me that they were in the automotive industry and different industries where they do have tools like this, but it may be a newer thing that they're breaking into IT, but they do have kind of a line of IT tools now. Matter of fact, they have certifiers, they have a line of qualifiers, and they also have, if you can see here on the screen here, they have Softing. It's itnetworks.softing.com. Yeah, they have a line of certifiers. They have a couple qualifiers. And then you get into your wire testers, and this looks like their main wire tester, the LinkXpert M3. So they give you a good case. It's like a semi-hard case here. And there's a lot of stuff that comes with it. We've got some extra cables. It's a quality case. You've got a toner probe kit, the LinkXpert itself, with a nice protective case on it. Pretty small, feels good in the hand, about the size of an iPhone or so. And remotes are a little bit large, but they've got some information on them, and they do give you 8 of them, which is really nice. And a charger. Now the LinkXpert does do copper, this particular one, and it does have an SFP module, and so you can do fiber. And this looks like another accessory kit, which is pretty cool. Got some fiber patch cables in here, some other miscellaneous cables, looks like a lens cleaner of some sort. And then you've got some coax and some Ethernet plugs. These look like little identifiers. Like if you're by yourself and you plug one of these guys in, say a patch panel, and you can identify, there's 24 of them. So you can figure out where things are, which is really helpful if you're a one-man show or if you're by yourself. So it's pretty cool. Let me slide this back here. Okay, so operationally, what do we think? Is it good? We had a chance to use it a few times. And how does it compare to, price-wise? This is coming in around $1,500 or $1,600. So most similar to, I would say, the Link Runner AT1000, which might be a couple hundred more, but it's within that price frame. The AT2000, which has the ability to do fiber and act as a reflector for one of the other tools, I believe that's over $2,000. That's probably closer to $3,000 or $2,500. So the more direct comparison will probably be between these two here. So let's fire these guys up. Now, one of the things, let's check boot time. I'm going to turn these both on at the same time. So I want to see boot time. So yeah, this one's already up, ready to go. This is like running Android, so this takes a while to boot up. It's going to be more similar to this. This actually takes a little bit of time to boot up. These are very handy because they boot instantly, basically. So we'll give that a chance. Now one of the things this does PoE load testing, which has the ability to apply a load in addition to PoE data, which is really cool. The Etherscope does that, of course. The AT2000 does it. The 1000 does not. It will test PoE and give you what voltage it sees and the classification and everything, but it will not put a load on the line. Okay, so playing with this, it didn't really have, there's an online manual. I didn't see a booklet here. I like to test honestly, I mean, if you're a network guy, you kind of know and figure stuff out what you want to do. It should be obvious, right? Like if I want to do a cable test, I'll scroll to cable and hit the button. And so I like testing that way because then it gives me kind of out of the box usability. So you ever run into those products where they seem awesome, but you have to pull out the manual every single time because things aren't in logical places and so forth. So I like to just use them, as funny as that sounds, without even looking at the directions, basically. Let's get just testing some basic wires and so forth. So I've got a good patch cable here. Now, here, we'll start with this here. So I'll plug this guy in. There's only one port. So in order to do, say, a cable test, so if I click the little, now there's an auto test, and I found out that you can define these auto tests. So if every time you run an auto test, you want it to have port discovery, pull DHCP, and do a quick ping test, you set that up, and then there's your auto test. In contrast, say the link runner, this guy, you can't really set that. It just does it. It just goes out, verifies the port, pings Google, pings the internet, boom. So similar features, you just have to set this up, but it's more customizable, okay? So you will need to use a remote to do a cable test. So I plug this guy in, and there's information as far as the pairs and stuff on the remote. Click my button here. We're not doing Wi-Fi. This has a Wi-Fi module also, which is nice. I mean, for that price, it really is. So we'll test copper, and let's do a wire map. And I guess click the green button. I heard a little click. It's going, and it looks like there's no shielding, but it looks like now the length this is a 3-foot patch cable. It's showing me 0.7 feet. So let's see if we can run it again. 0.7 feet, but it did determine that it's a good cable. It shows all the pairs, has information on the remote end. They're all lit up. Not sure about the 0.7 feet. Let's do the same thing with the link runner. The link runner has 2 ports, so you can kind of just pass it through to itself, which is kind of nice. And let's do it on the link runner. And it shows a little bit under 3.3 feet, and the ability to put tone on it, which you can in here too. So same information, a little more accurate, I think, because it is a 3-foot patch cable with the link runner. Now let's take a cable that is broken. So we clipped the orange pair out of this guy, right? So let's see what that looks like. Well, since we got this out already. Plug that in the link runner, hit the refresh button, and let's see what it comes up with. It's the same length cable that shows it. And now this is neat because it actually showed, we only cut the solid orange, and it literally shows that's the only wire cut, right? So you've got orange white is good, orange is open. And the rest of the wires are good. Now, a lot of cable testers will count the orange as a pair, like the microscanner. And let's see if the softing, how that looks. Once again, we throw it in the remote here. And we'll go copper, wire map, and go. Seems to be pretty responsive. The touch screen is kind of nice. So that was quick. It showed open right away. It did take the orange as a whole unit, as a pair, basically. It wasn't able to distinguish orange white to orange, but it showed that the orange is open, which it is. So that's nice. It still shows that 0.7 foot though. So now there may be some calibration that's needed to be totally fair. Once again, like I said, I didn't go through the booklet and set this up from scratch. I just kind of started using it. So there may be some parameters that need to be set. Okay, but that's the difference. And then old school, just to show you this guy here. Remember these back in the old days? These were really popular, microscanner. I think either Fluke bought them. There's a unit just like this. It might be made by Fluke now, but this just shows us that 1 and 2. So it kind of takes it as the pair also. So it shows like 1 and 2 are missing, even though only one of them is cut. But it does show that it's not right, basically, right? And so the only one, and the Etherscope takes a while to boot up. That has more information than the Link Runner. So this would definitely show that the orange wire is bad, but it is nice on the Link Runner to have just that wire shell was cut, just so you know. But they all did identify that it was a bad patch cable rather quickly, so that is good. As far as the rest of it, let's plug in the network and see what it shows. And then we can do some speed tests. We can plug them both in here. We've got a couple going to the patch panel over there. So let's plug this guy back in. And let's go back, and here we have, let's see what we have here. So copper, and so we've got wire map, tone generator, discovery, which is nice, PoE tester with load, port blinking, DHCP, it'll pull an address, the ability to ping stuff, a duplicate IP checker, trace route, network discovery, CDP and LLDP give us some information. I wonder, let's look at LLDP. We don't have a Cisco switch. Says LLDP ready to start. So it looks like it linked up. This turned green. Link layer discovery protocol. So what do we got here? It shows us the MAC address, VLAN 1, cPro 16 PoE, UBNT switch. It pulled the switch info. So that is good. Let's do this. Because it's going to be more of a direct test. Let's run the auto test, which is kind of set up to be similar to what this would run. So we run an auto test and go. So it's going to do the port discovery, then it's going to pull an address, and then it's going to ping something. I think it's set to ping live.com just out of the box. So let's see where that goes. Looks like port discovery is done. And it is pulling, hopefully, there it goes, pulling an IP address. And this is real time. I'm not going to cut this or edit the actual time it takes to run these tests, just so you know. And now it's pinging. And now it's stopping the test. Ooh. Looks like we got some kind of fail on the ping test. I'm not sure why. Pinged our VLAN. Looks like it did. And that might be on our end. It might be set to. Yeah, it's pinging the gateway and the VLAN interface too. So it might not be responding to pings. Okay. Well, DHCP test, it will tell me everything it pulled, which is cool. It's got all the information there. And the port discovery, like before, it'll, well, not LLDP, but it just tells me the capabilities that were linked at 1 gigabit, and that's the capabilities of the port. Okay. So, but you can define the auto test, which is pretty nice. Okay. In comparison, let me turn this guy on, and this would be the auto test here, and we use this all the time. So it immediately pulled up the PoE info. Now, in all fairness, we could add PoE info to the auto test here. Okay, we probably should, so it's a true test. But this already pinged all the way through to Google. And then the last thing, so we're done now, but it is trying. It's basically sending me an email. That's what it's doing. It's going to say send to Link Live. It's going to shoot me an email with all the info that it found. But as far as what it identified and what it found, shows the link information, of course, shows the switch port, pulls an address, shows all the steps they offer, the acknowledgement, and it pinged the gateway, it pinged DNS, and it pinged google.com. So we're going to run an auto test with this, and let's plug in this guy. Do a different. All right, so we're going to hit auto test at the same time. I tried at the same time. I'm actually going to redo this one and start it there. There. The link runner is notoriously fast as far as network testers go. It's already pinged all the way through to Google right now. I can tell. It says found 3 out of 3 targets, so that's basically done. This one, it's just getting ready to start the DHCP test, so a bit slower. But you can define these, okay? Now it's getting ready to start the ping. And we get the same thing here, the weird error where it's just the VLAN issue, so not a big deal. Okay, so yeah, so quite a bit of difference in speed, although it does test the same thing. So just initial thoughts really quick up to this point for us. You know, this is my mainstay, right? I love this thing. We use it all the time. Even though we have an Etherscope, we use this all the time. This, while there seems to be a little bit of trade-offs, like this is a lot faster, this does Wi-Fi and other things too. So it's got some of the capabilities of the Etherscope, and Etherscopes are close to 10 grand. So that's not bad for a $1,500 device. It's really not. And I don't know how long they've been in this field, if this is like a first revision, if they're just going to get better, but it's, you know, because some testers you see on Amazon, eBay, that aren't the big names. They're not Fluke. They're not NetAlley. They work, but they seem really cheesy, right? This feels like it's a decent test tool. It really does. It doesn't feel like it's one of those, you know, those overseas knockoffs. It feels like a decent tool. So let's see the wireless. Just out of curiosity, what this guy does. I think there's a wireless module in here. Let's pop this guy in and see what happens. Okay. The Wi-Fi module's in. Now let's see if we can hit Wi-Fi. And now we have network discovery, Wi-Fi scan, DHCP, so the same types of things. That's it. So you've got 6 things. Let's see. Let's just do a quick Wi-Fi scan. And yeah, it pulls right up. Let's see. Does it give us any information? Oh, it does. Tells you the SSID, BSSID MAC, the band, the channel, decibels. Nice. Okay. Duplicate IP. I'm sure that just. I'd have to connect obviously too. So you have to connect. It's not just gonna. Okay. Now that we've connected, we're scanning the network here. You can't really adjust the screen, it looks like. But let's see what it found here. It found some text stuff. Our main switch, I click it, it tells me about it. Music PC, gives you the MAC address, basic info, the IP address. It's a printer, basic info, aggregation switch. So yeah, it does a valid scan. Let me stop it. And duplicate IP check. I'm sure it's just gonna, yeah, just a quick, no duplicates found. Ping test. We'll ping yahoo.com. And just keeps pinging. Okay, so some basic stuff. Stopping network test. So for a network tester, wire tester. It's more of a wire tester, really, but it has a lot of capabilities. Like I said, it crosses over into the realm of the Etherscope because it does wireless, because it does discovery. So it does things that this doesn't do. To be totally honest, at just your basics, like as it sits right now, I think that the link runner is going to still be handier as far as just reaching, grabbing quickly. Because usually you go to a client site, you'll have a port, you know, something will be sitting there and you'll say, okay, is this live? Is it good? I got to trace it back, you know, and you'll plug in and want to see. With the link runner, you plug in and within it's already going, like it just goes, it's quick. So it hit the switch port, it's already pulling an address, it pulled an address, it's already pinging 2 of the 3 targets, it pinged the 3rd one. So it's just done. It's just boom, done quick, right? This guy here, not bad, but you know, you click it, you run it, it's going to take a bit, but it gets the job done, right? So now let's stop this. Let's actually, what about toning? Let's see how toning works out, because it's hard to beat a dedicated tool, right? Like a dedicated toner, especially a digital toner like the Fluke IntelliPro 200 or IntelliTone 200. But let's see what this does, because it does come with a toner. Now, granted, well, I guess it feels okay. All right, let's roll with that. So let's say we're plugged in here, or I know we're port. Let's use this one. We're plugged in. I'm going to pull the wireless out. Say we come up to a jack that we don't have any network info on, and we want to find that. So I go copper, tone generator, pin 1, 2, just default. We'll just leave it default. Okay, it's apparently doing a tone. I get nothing. It's okay. It's odd, but well, I'm getting it a little bit. Okay, so it's very, I don't know if it's not very sensitive. Well, let's go over here. So that's it. Nothing. But if I take this out, there I go. So you have to be right inside the jack. That, I mean, it does work, okay? We'll give it that. Toning does work. But let's stop the toning test. Restoring relays. No idea what that's about, but we'll let it do its thing. I typically, these units have toners also. To be totally honest, I don't really use them. I use the dedicated toner 100%. It's just a lot easier. But this is, there it goes, restoring relays. Not sure what that was, but the difference is, you know, you hook into a regular toner. Okay, so this gets it right. So when you're going to your panel here, I mean, you're getting it before it even gets there. So obviously that's going to be easier. And then with this, what I do to actually verify it is I take it out, I plug it in the bottom, and then I go to cable map, and it only does that if you're on the wire. It just pings through all 8 wires, right? So that's kind of built in, verifies it. So I still think, yeah, it's not going to replace a good toner, but it does work. It did identify that port positively, so can't knock it for that. It does give you 8 remotes, which are handy. And it tells the remote, I'm sure. Let's take 5 and let's put this. I'm pretty sure it did, but just to verify, I don't see why it wouldn't, or they wouldn't be numbered, right? So when you're going to identify stuff, if I go wire map, go, it should pick that. That's 5. Yeah, it did. Perfect 5. So that is nice. Nice case. I mean, everything seems well made with this product. That's pretty cool. So it does a lot. I don't, you know, you can update its firmware. So who knows what the future will hold, right? Cisco Discovery Protocol, LLDP. It's got some cool stuff, and it does wireless. So it kind of sits in the middle between these as far as features. The way they're implemented, though, I still, just personally, you know, I do like the Link Runner. So I think it's a little bit faster, but plug this guy back in. The other thing is it could be a benefit or not a benefit, depending, but it has a nice case, right? You come in there, you got your suitcase, it's got everything you need. The problem for me, and this is just a personal thing, for me personally, I keep mine in my daily bag that I have other stuff in, right? So I've got some tools, basic things. I've got, you know, I keep my toner in this side like that, and I keep the Link Runner in this pocket like that, and I keep the Ethoscope in this pocket. I put some custom foam in there so it's got a nice bouncy cushion if I set it down hard, and that way I have my tools, my cables, other stuff with me. So for me, this wouldn't work. Of course, there's a lot of remotes to carry, you know, whereas we don't really use like the multiple remotes to identify stuff very often because we usually label, pre-wire, and stuff like that. So the nice case, it is a nice case, but it may be more beneficial to others than it would be, say, to myself, because the stuff has to fit in my tool bag, okay? But other than that, yeah, I would say I would give it a thumbs up. It seems to be a quality product. It seems to work. Let's turn it off. Oops. See what it takes to turn this guy off. Confirm shutdown. Yes. And it boots itself down. Checking and fixing file systems. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. I do like the form factor, the size, and you get a lot of stuff with it. So yeah, all in all, I would say it has potential. For the price, there's the hard part, right? Is it's close to the same price as the Link Runner, which is my go-to, right? Like that is my boy right there. But it also does wireless PoE load testing and things that this doesn't do, that the Ethoscope does, which is a lot more expensive. The only thing is it doesn't like wireless. It kind of is almost like, it doesn't give you much more information than like a good app on your cell phone would. Well, on Android, not iPhone, right? Because they don't give you very much info that way. But it does at least, I mean, it has a wireless adapter and it's able to do things via Wi-Fi, whereas the Link Runner does not. So it kind of sits in a unique place in the middle. And for $1,500, I mean, I would say that if I didn't have any tester at all and I only could have one, I would consider it. I mean, especially if I, you know, because I don't know what they're going to add as far as Wi-Fi, the capabilities there, right? So, yeah. So it's a pretty cool little setup. And you got room for some cables. So yeah, that's my little mini review on the LinkXpert from Softing M3, and I'd be curious to see how they're not their certifiers. We don't do a lot with them with certification. You know, those are very expensive testers. We would lease them. We used to have a unit way back in the day, and we just don't have enough call for it. Like we don't want to, you know, it's extra work. They'd have to pay to have that done. Usually that's for, you know, cable warranty and that kind of stuff. Qualifiers are, I think for us, we'd use qualifiers a lot more. That's more to give the customer that's going to check your BERT errors, your near end crosstalk, next errors, and all those kind of things like that. We don't use it a lot. We have a unit that does that, but I'd be curious to see what their qualifier is like versus, and then do a heads up against a product like this here. So that's it. So hope everybody has a good day. It's almost Friday here for us. It's Thursday. And that's a little review of the Softing LinkXpert M3.